Hello. So this is my first try with this camera and this microphone, and the microphone keeps going into the red zone. So I'm going to try and talk very quietly and hope that that works out. Anyway, so hi. I decided to do a video about the pony that I'm knitting because I have put it on Tumblr and a little bit on Twitter, but not like enough that everybody would have seen it. And more people tend to see my videos on things like G Plus and whatnot. So my nickname has been Knit Me a Pony for years and years. I tell people in the real world that it's an old theater thing, but it's really an old role playing thing, a live action role playing thing, which amounts to the same thing. But we try and tell the Muggles that LARP is just an improv theater troupe sometimes. Anyway, it was a character of mine pitching a fit, telling someone to knit her a pony, and it kind of stuck, and it was hilarious. So a childling satyr, Shadowport, if anybody gives a crap. Anyway, so let me tell you about my character. Anyway, so always when I tell people my nickname, the first thing that they snarkily say is, "Oh, well, have you? I mean, have you knitted a pony? Ha 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 ha." And for a while, I couldn't say yes, and then I crocheted a pony for my sister who went to um, Western Michigan University, and she was in the marching band. And she was one of the badass drumline people, and so I made her a cymbal playing marching bronco, which was the name of the marching band's like mascot. So anyway, that was awesome and fun, and but it was a crocheting a pony. It wasn't knitting a pony. And for a while, I was crocheting these little pony finger puppets that I would give to everyone. Every time I visit someone's house, I would give them one, sort of leaving a piece of myself behind, kind of thing. But I had never knitted one. So every once in a while, I would Google for patterns for toy ponies, and I found one that I really, really liked. It was one of the free ponies that Lion offers, and I'll put a link in the. Hi, Frank. I will put a link in the down below or wherever the YouTube sticks those links these days. Anyway, so I found it and I decided I was going to knit a full-size pony because it was a really simple sort of cartoony pattern that had a lot of repetition that seemed like it would be really easy to size up. So the first thing I did was to knit the actual toy pony, and you can see it's a pretty nice little size. It's little knobby knees and little whatever, and a fun little thing. I didn't stick the ears or the eyes on this guy, and he's only got kind of a rudimentary tail because he was just sort of the prototype. And I learned a lot, mostly about making sure that you have very similar weight yarn because you can see his nose is actually bigger than it should be proportionally, and he's got kind of like a ridge here because the pink yarn is so thin and the black yarn is so thick. So, but he was a lot of fun to make. Oh, and this Bo and Belle were from Isla, who sent me some yarn while I started this project. Anyway, so I decided to size up this pony to a full-size pony. So I started on the legs, and the first one that I did was way, way, way too big. Sizing up the pattern was really interesting because it's the kind of stitch that it is. Oh crap, I can never remember which one's garter and which one's socknet. Anyway, it's smooth on one side and very knobby on the other, so that the smooth side is sort of on the outside. The way that it is, because it's a knit row, then a purl row, then a knit row, then a purl row, when you size it up, you can't just double everything because you get off on the counts of the rows. So I had to, do an odd number. I had to triple it or quintuple it or whatever. And then when you size up and out, it's not always the same proportion because stitches are taller than they are. Well, I guess it really depends on what you do, but generally speaking, in my knitting anyway, they're a little bit wider than they are tall, so the proportions work out oddly. So I had to resize up the pattern, and I ended up making this pattern where I would triple the yarn and triple the stitches, quadruple the stitches and triple the row. Each row became 3 rows. So this was the first prototype. This, you can see it's huge. It's larger than my head. This was going to be the hoof for that first pony, and it was just way too outsized and crazy. So I have now gone down to double the yarn, but with the same pattern, and that unsized it down. So this is now the new hoof, and you can see it's a much more reasonable size. I mean, if you compare this to this, you can see how it's going to probably be, about 5 to 8, somewhere between 5 and 8 times the size. It doesn't really matter. That'll put it between like 14 and 18 hands tall, and that's a large pony to a large horse, which works out very well. But right now I'm having some fun because I made this whole pony leg, And I almost wish I had zoomed out this video so you could kind of get a sense. But like, here's the hoof, and here's the knee, and it goes all the way down. It actually, I started taking apart the top of it, but it goes all the way down to the bottom. I made the whole leg, which there are photographs of on my actually knitting a freaking pony.tumblr.com blog. It was, it was just too big, but I didn't want to take the whole thing apart and then re-put the whole thing together. So now it's amusing me greatly. I'm taking it apart as I go, winding the third color into a ball, and then the other two colors are going directly into the knitting. So they're actually, this and this are actually connected right now. So it's kind of a hefty project to carry the too large leg and the smaller leg, the right size leg, in there at the same time. But I've got a hoof and a half and part of a leg done now. So I'm still-ish, if I can finish the knee this weekend, I will still be on track to finish this in time for the end of the year. So that's sort of my knitting a pony project. I don't know quite why. I'm trying to get into making videos more often because I have it, and why not? And they're amazing. So that's just kind of what I wanted to show you guys. But if you're interested, like I said, it's actually knittingafreakingpony.tumblr.com, and I'm going to try and talk more about two things in the future. I've really been falling down in the blogging, so more people paying attention to it will guilt me into posting more often. One is how I did the pattern. I have the pattern in a Google Doc, Excel spreadsheet kind of thing. So you can see what I've done, but I didn't really talk about how I did it. So I want to talk about sizing up the pattern and the adventure that was. And so when I start to do the head, which is a lot more complicated, I think I'm going to sort of more or less live blog that as I work through it. The other piece, which I have some questions about, and I'm not quite sure how complex I want to get, is once I make this pony, I mean, it's a pony-sized pony. Like, its head is going to come up to my head if it stands up straight. I don't want just a floppy thing. I mean, this guy is cute. Like, he can sit on your bed and flop around, and there's nothing particularly strange about a dolly-sized pony flopping around and being cute. But there is something odd about something the size of a horse being that way. So I need to make like a frame for it. Like, I'm going to make an endoskeleton, not an exoskeleton, but an internal structure that will hold the pony up and let it stand. But there's two big questions to that. One is, what should the skeleton be made of? And then the second is, what should I stuff it with? Do I want to stuff it with something firmer that helps it stand up? Like do like a styrofoam or a foam rubber core around whatever the actual hard skeleton is. I don't know. Add to that the thought that since I'm trying to be more programmer nerdy, I would really like to learn how to use Arduino controllers. And, they're very, very cool, very, very easy to learn, I'm told, sort of robotic controllers, machine controllers. And if I use something like PVC piping that has very standard sizes, I might find it very easy to put together a series of joints that I could then program and move. So do I want to get as complex as having the pony be able to like lift its head or lift its one hoof and tap the ground and, be able to do silly things like that, or twitch its tail or its little ears, or maybe even alter this pattern, because you can see this is like just a cone, but it would be very easy to alter this pattern to have a spot where I could have a working mouth and it'd be Muppety, but it would be a working mouth, so options, I don't know. But what do you think? So I wanted to pose those questions to people that haven't been excessively spammed with it on my Tumblr. Anyway, so that's my project and where I am on it right now. And like I said, I'm trying to make more new videos. So if there's anything that you're curious about, please feel free to leave a comment, and I will try and make a video of it soon. So anyway, thanks for watching.